Hello, everybody. This is Michelle, and I am here to answer some questions. All right, I have seen a lot of people do the 21 questions tag, and that is what I plan on doing right now. So, let's talk about this. The first question is, what background of witchcraft do you practice? For me, I am being taught, and the path that I have chosen to learn is the Irish witchcraft path. So, that is where what I would define myself as officially, but I do use a lot from other areas because I think that it's important to have a focus in your practice, like Irish witchcraft, but that doesn't mean that you have to ignore the rest of the world. So I do use other things. I do other things that might not have been practiced in Ireland back in the day, but that is mainly what my path is. That is where my tradition will come from. What is your favorite witchy thing to do, i.e., candle making, herbs, divination? For me, I love divination. I use tarot cards and oracle cards, and I do divination in other ways, like scrying, but I'll talk about that later. And then the other thing that I really like to do is work with crystals. I work with crystals in different capacities. I wear them. I put them in my bra because I don't put them in pockets, otherwise I lose them. I wear them on my person a lot, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. And I have them all over my home. There are some that I've actually begun to develop very real relationships with that I never really thought possible before. I mean, I've always liked certain stones, but it's kind of cool when you actually can listen to them and, you know, really have a connection. The next question is, what is your favorite type of magic that you like to do? I just try to think about the different types that I do, and typically it involves candles. Candles are easy, they're quick, they're inexpensive. If you really needed to go get some quick spell candles, you could go get birthday candles from the dollar store, and they'll burn down fast. They have colors on them, and it works. There's also tea lights, there's votives, there's spell candles that you can buy. Interesting thing I learned was that those spell candles that you get that already have a label on them with a spell, that spell is actually used to activate that candle. It's not just like, oh, here, maybe you should do the spell. Um, it's used to activate it. And I actually used a candle recently, and I actually used that incantation or spell in addition to my own juju, and it worked. The other candles that I've used in that capacity have not, and so I was very excited to see that, oh my god, that's what it does. It activates this candle. How cool is that? It's kind of built in to the candle to begin with, so interesting. The next thing is, name your top 5 herbs. My top 5 herbs are chamomile, lavender, sage, rosemary, and cedar. Chamomile is very calming, and very gentle protection, just kind of like, a hand on your shoulder. Lavender is also calming, very protective, but it's more like a firmer hand on your shoulder, maybe like a hug, keeping you protected. Then you have sage. Sage is something that I use on a daily basis. I use it in the bundled capacity. I use it in tiny bundles with other herbs and oils. Mostly I use it in a spray form made with essential sage and cedar oils. Um, I use it to protect and cleanse before I go to bed, if I'm feeling icky, if I feel like my house needs to be cleansed. Um, so I do spray that a lot. I've got probably like 5 or 6 bottles lying around my house in different places. I take it with me a lot, and it's actually made by my mentor, so I really, really do appreciate that because it's got a little bit of her behind it, which I appreciate as well. But sage is something that I use quite a bit. I also like rosemary. Like I said, it's very antiseptic. So in its properties as a regular, like an herb that you use in your food, um, it's very antiseptic. It's good for the body. But when you apply that to spirituality, it's very good with cleansing as well. There seems to be a pattern here. And it's a little bit more aggressive sometimes. It kind of cuts through things, in my opinion, and in my experience. Now, cedar is the other one. Cedar is something that doesn't let things attach to you. It's also very antiseptic. I use it in teas. I put it in my shoes. because that helps keep all the psychic gunk off of your feet. A lot of times we forget about our feet when we're cleansing. So that kind of helps. And especially now that I go ghost hunting, I'm part of a paranormal group. And whenever we go out, um, I bring the sage, mostly in the spray form, because sometimes you can't light a sage like in someone's house. Maybe they don't want to, or maybe you're in a public building. So I spray. It seems to work a lot better, and it has that cedar in it and other stuff that really helps cut through things and not just kind of push it away. So yeah, cedar is really great too. Number 5, what is your favorite type of divination? I use tarot or oracle cards mostly. I have a lot of different decks that I use for different purposes. I believe that um, the same deck isn't always going to give you exactly what you need. That's why I have a variety, because different artwork, different types of cards, the difference between oracle and tarot, they give you different types of information. For me, tarot seems to be very um, mundane. If you want to know something that's going on in your life, then go to the tarot. That will help. But if you're going to do something that's a little more esoteric, mental, spiritual, then you would probably go to oracle cards, or I go to oracle cards. So, but it depends. The decks are all different. Um, the other thing that is on here is how did you come to practice witchcraft? It's sort of a long story, but here's the shortened version. Basically, when I was 11 or 12, I had this interest in white Wicca or white witchcraft, and I really wanted to do it, but my mom told me a story about a book that flew off her shelf, and she associated that with the occult. So that scared me away from it. When I was like 15 years old, 16 years old, I was working at a Wendy's, and this woman was Wiccan, and she would talk to me about all the kinds of different things that she would do. She did a spell, um, and she told me about it after it had worked, and it was kind of crazy. I was like, wow, you can do that? So, the seed was planted, but I didn't really go into it because of the stories my mom told me. Now, when I was probably 24, turning, I think, I don't know, I was 24, I think. Um, I found the Magical Encyclopedia of Herbs by Scott Cunningham in my mom's bookshelf. She's really into herbs, and I wanted to start growing my own herbs for medicinal purposes. So I started reading it, and I felt like it had some really good scientific information as well as metaphysical information. But it turned out that it was actually a book about Wicca, and that was really shocking to me. So I looked up Scott Cunningham. I found that he had a whole bunch of books, and that day I went out and bought um, the first book that he wrote on Wicca, and then I read that in like a day. And then I went back to the bookstore and I got Living Wicca, and then I just bought all of his books, and then I started branching out from there. And today, here I am. It's been like 3.5, 4 years at this point, which isn't too long, but I've learned so much in that time. The next question is, are you in a coven or are you solitary? Right now I'm solitary. I've been solitary pretty much my whole witchy life. Um, but I'm really interested in becoming part of a group or a coven. Right now, there's really nothing like that around here that would interest me. We do have some active druid groves, but druids, they're cool, and I like going to their stuff, but I'm not a druid, and um, I would like to find something a little bit more up my alley. But again, kind of like my last video where I talked about respecting the elders, a lot of elders have been disrespected so much that they've just decided that, leading a group is not something that really they need to be doing right now. And I completely understand. So in the meantime, I'm just going to learn as much as I can, and if a coven doesn't present itself to me, or I can't find one that I trust, then maybe in a few years or so I might start my own. But I want to make sure that I have a solid foundation before I go around, creating a tradition or a coven. Um, what is your favorite Esbot, Sabbat, or solstice? I have an answer for all of these. My favorite Esbots are usually dark moons because I find myself more active around those times. And since you can kind of see based on my herbs that I love cleansing and protection, that's a great time for cleansing and protection for me. And it's also great for divination, so it really just speaks to everything that I do. Um, so that would be my Esbot. For my Sabbats, I chose Imbolc, which just occurred, and there's always something awesome happening around Imbolc for me, always. There's a dedication, there's a god or a goddess showing up, there's a change in my life, there's something going on, and at this point, I think I've been through 4 Imbolcs, and it's just really powerful to me, and so, um, yeah, I love it. The other Sabbat that I would choose would be Lunasa, which, um, it's just, maybe it's because of my leaning towards the god Lu that I like Lunasa, but I've had some very powerful experiences, and that's also been the beginning of a lot of deep thought and things like that. It's the beginning for me of the hibernation part of the year, and I really really enjoy it. The next question is, what is your favorite witchy movie? For me, Hocus Pocus. I don't know if anybody said that yet. Not in the videos that I've seen. Everybody's saying practical magic, and that's legit. I would also say Harry Potter, just because it's so much fun. You know, I love the idea of magic being that literal, but of course it doesn't work like that, but it's just kind of fun to fantasize. Number 10, what is your favorite witchy book? And they're talking about fantasy books and also, um, fiction and nonfiction. So with fiction, Harry Potter, again, I would choose that. Um, with nonfiction, there's so many of them, but I would definitely recommend the Temple of Witchcraft series by Christopher Penczak. I'm currently reading The Outer Temple of Witchcraft. I've completed The Inner Temple of Witchcraft, and it just seems like a really nice progression of books that take you a year and a day to get through each of them, if you do it the way it's intended. And it's just fantastic. But specific titles, The Craft by Dorothy Morrison, very basic, not really tradition specific, but it has some pretty solid information. Sabbats by Adane McCoy. It's a big, well, the copy I have is big and orange and it has black on it. And it goes through all of the Sabbats. It gives you lore, it gives you activities, it gives you crafts to do, recipes to make. And in the back, it has a shit ton of correspondences. So I love it. It tells you everything about every Sabbat. And it's something that I reference quite a bit. It's kind of like my Sabbath Book of Shadows, and it's my go-to book when it comes to Sabbats. And then the other book that I chose was actually by Dane McCoy as well, and it's called If You Want to Be a Witch, A Practical Guide to the Craft. And that is a book about choosing whether or not you want to be a witch or just pagan or just Wiccan, or do you want to be those things and be a witch? Because witch means something a little bit different. And it's a pretty big responsibility in my opinion, and this book would pretty much agree with me. So it gives you a lot of questions to ask yourself whether or not this is for you, and it's really good if you're kind of questioning, where you want to go. Number 11, what is your favorite witchy show? There are none. I mean, I've seen some witchy shows like The Witches of Eastwick, The Secret Circle. I've never really watched Charmed, so maybe, I mean, I should, but I can't, I've tried, but I can't. So, I just don't think they've been done right. I think that they're just too much. There's lots of supernatural shows that I like, but witchy shows, not really. What is your favorite color, and what does it mean to you? I'm not sure. I don't really think I have a favorite color. I have colors that keep coming up that I enjoy, like yellow, orange, pink. Those all come and go in my life, and I like to paint rooms those colors. I like to wear those colors to make my black pop when I wear black. Plus, yellow is a Hufflepuff color, and I'm a Hufflepuff, so that's always cool. So I guess I'll choose yellow. It's also the color that people say of my aura. If people are able to see auras, um, typically, I haven't had anybody say anything differently yet. They say that I'm a lot of yellows and pinks and oranges. So I think it's just because it's so bright, it's happy, it's fun, and it must resonate with my authentic self. So that's probably why. All right. So the next question is, what type of animal, creature, person, um, is your spirit guide and or totem animal? And I'm going to add, because I saw that Chris did this and I loved it, and or fetch. Now a fetch correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who knows, is not like a totem animal. It's who you are as an animal. And for me, I am a white lioness. That came up because lions just kept showing up in people's visions, in my life, and in symbols, and in conversation, and it just kept coming up in different ways. And then one day, somebody who sees just basically said, "You're a white lioness. That's what I see around you all the time." And I had been trying to sense like what cat I was, because I knew I was a cat, but every cat that I kind of looked into wasn't quite it, even the lion. So that's why the white part is very important, because that really does mean something a little extra. And um, once that happened, it's like every little puzzle piece that I'd been experiencing over the past few months just kind of clicked. And so yeah, I'm a white lioness. Now, as far as totem animals, they come and go. I mean, right now I've got like raccoons. This past summer, I was working a lot with the red-winged blackbird, and it's just they come and go all the time. But raccoon seems to be the one that's kind of around a lot right now. How many lives do you think you've had? I have no idea. I don't think anybody really knows exactly. Maybe you do. I don't know, but I've just never met anybody who does. Um, because the lives that I've probably lived could have been infinite. I mean, if time is really what the doctor says and it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, I'm probably living a few lives right now as we speak. Who knows? Because time is not necessarily a linear progression. It might not be wibbly wobbly either, but it's definitely not a line. So I'm really not sure, but the ones that I'm pretty convinced of um, is that an Egyptian life as a male, specifically an architect, and a life that I had in Spain as like a belly dancer, kind of a gypsy person. Um, but the rest of the lives that I've been told are my past lives don't resonate with me really. So I don't know if those are true, but really there's no way for me to know for sure. So, but I do have emotions that I'm pretty sure are tied to past lives, but I just don't know how. Like when suddenly, like all of a sudden, you develop like depression out of nowhere, or all of a sudden you have panic attacks when you never had panic attacks before. I think sometimes that can be triggered by something that might have happened at a similar time in your past life. So I think some of that has happened to me in general, but I'm not sure what has happened or who I was. Okay, the next questions are, what is your element and what is your astrological sign? So I am a Libra, therefore I am an air sign. But as far as the element that I am embracing completely at this moment, I am embracing the element of fire. So I would say that my element right now is fire, but I am an air sign. 17. Who is your goddess and god? This is kind of hard for me to answer because um, I'm the kind of person who believes that you can be ultimately claimed by a deity that says, I'm working with you, and you end up tied to them for your life unless they decide otherwise, which I don't think that they would really say, no, I don't want you anymore. I think that once a deity chooses you, they're like you're theirs, they're yours. You're connected. There's a bond. So I haven't experienced that completely yet, but there are some deities that I'm thinking are definitely in the running for that, or at least trying to knock me in the head hard enough to make me see that that is the case. The two that I have in mind are Breed and Lou. They've been around for the past probably 2.5 years, trying to get my attention, and for some reason it's just not um, clicking with me, or it's just not the time. But I'm hoping to, start to connect with them more, especially since my favorite Sabbats are Imbolc and Lunasa. I mean, Breed and Lou. There you go. But despite the fact that I am on my Irish path, and Breed and Lou would be included in that path, I also have worked greatly with the goddess Hecate, so I'm not going to abandon her. I've started to really have a personal connection in meditation and in other ways with Kali, which was very surprising to me, but it happened. Then also Hela, who is the Anglo-Saxon goddess of the underworld, and then Thunor, who is the Anglo-Saxon version of Thor, and Inanna, who is a Sumerian goddess. And she is like the original badass, and I love her because she's just like raw woman power. and the protector of women too. And I've also worked a lot recently with Freya, and yeah, so a lot of the deities that I try to work with are from my direct blood heritage, being, Anglo-Saxon, Germanic, Irish, Celtic, that kind of thing. And my cat's eating my broom, and I'm trying to make him stop. Come on, Beegs. Oh, goodness. Come over here. Okay, ow. um, so those are the deities that I work with on a pseudo-regular basis. What is your favorite crystal? My favorite crystal, I love chrysocolla. Chrysocolla. I don't know how people say it, but it's beautiful, and it's one of my favorite stones. Very gentle, but very versatile at the same time. Very soft too. So I like touching it, and when you look at it, it looks like the world. It looks like the earth. So I love that too. The other, um, the other stone that I like is peacock ore. And now that I think about it, this hasn't occurred to me the 4 times that I've tried to make this video, but I think one of my other animals, whether it's a guide or a totem, is a peacock. It shows up a lot, and it means a lot to me. So, um, maybe that could be there too. But peacock ore is also known as boronite, I believe, and that is another stone that I love. I also love labradorite and selenite. Um, labradorite is really good for depression, so I use that sometimes, um, and it's very versatile as well. I would also like to get a labradorite crystal ball. Like, oh my god, are you kidding me? That'd be amazing. Anyway, but the one thing that's weird is the one stone that I don't really have a feeling for is amethyst, but I just keep getting amethyst. If you look at my stones, all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, she must love amethyst. No, I don't. I just keep getting amethyst. Okay, what is your favorite witchy tool? We're almost done. I put wands because I love to make wands. I find sticks everywhere. Sometimes sticks hit me in the head, and I feel like, oh, okay, I probably should take you home with me. So I whittle those down, or sometimes I keep them in their raw form. I've made wands for other people, and I like making wands for myself. Candles, obviously, love candle magic. It's really easy to use, and incense is the other one. Because maybe it's because I'm an air sign, but those are very basic, easy magic, I think. What is your favorite witchy craft to do? Working with stones in any capacity and protecting and cleansing. I love to make sure that all of my wards are set where they need to be. I love to cleanse and protect myself before I go to bed, or when I'm about to go on a trip. I have little things in my car that help protect me. I mean, there's just things all over the place, and I think that this might ruffle a few feathers. I hope it doesn't, because I feel like this is a good thing. But I don't think that any person who claims to be a witch and doesn't think that protection or cleansing is important isn't really worth their salt. I feel like cleansing and protection are probably two of the most important skills that you would need, aside from like meditation maybe, to be what I would consider a solid practitioner. I think that cleansing is very important, and I think that protection is very important, because we all need protecting. And especially the brighter your light becomes, the more things are attracted to it. So I believe that it's important to have, those gods, those goddesses, those ancestors, those guides, those wards, and those spells in and around you and your home to help protect you. Now, the very last thing, and I promise I'll be done after this, is a shout out to your top 5 witches that you watch on YouTube. They must be current YouTubers so people can sub to them. So I went through my list, because right now my list is pretty small. I'm trying to resub to certain people, and but these are 5 that I could come up with that are current, that I really love. And the first person is Invoking the Balance. She's making a lot more videos now, which is great. Before they were few and far between, but when you got a video, you were like, yes, because she always has something really awesome to say, and you can tell that she really thinks about and believes what she does. Then there's Mirth and Reverence. She's amazing. I don't know her on a super personal level, but I think that she's um, very well spoken. She doesn't really trample on anybody. She doesn't cause any problems. And I know that might sound like a weird thing to say about somebody, but when someone can exist within a community and have their opinions and their traditions, but everybody seems to just love them anyway, that's amazing, because that's really hard to do, and that must mean something really wonderful about her character and her heart. So I think that she's a really wonderful person, and I look forward to getting to know her on possibly a more personal basis in the future. Because people, the rest of these people, I know on a pretty personal basis. Like Invoking the Balance is one of my best friends in real life. Twisted Witch is also one of my best friends in real life. He visited and stayed with me in Ohio. He was visiting from Australia for like a week, and he would be the next channel that I would recommend is Twisted Witch. He's chaotic. He is reclaiming. He's always resonating with his authentic self, and he's just he's awesome, but he can be a little chaotic at times. But everybody needs a little chaos in their life, so I really recommend that you go to him because he has a lot of really good information. And then I would also suggest Soul Garden TV, which isn't a witch channel; it's an astrology channel. It's run by Christopher Witecki, and he gives literal forecasts for each sign every week. Um, and it's easy to follow, easy to understand, and he puts a lot of time and effort into what he does, so you can tell that he really likes what he does. And then there's Jeremy Pagan 94, the very last thing that I wanted to talk about. He's somebody who surprised me really early on in my YouTube career. Um, he is fairly young, I believe he's still in high school, but he just knows a lot for his age. He's really falling into the craft with ease, and he has the balls to show people how to do things. And I would think, based on what I've seen, that a lot of what he says is really legit. He doesn't just shoot things out of his ass. And he's also one of those people that is a practitioner I trust. It takes a lot for me to really say, oh, I trust that you can do this for me, because I think sometimes people think magic is just a fake thing. It's like a nice thing to think about, and it's all about positive thinking, man. But magic is a very real thing, and you can send it wherever you need to be. And even though he lives in California, he actually helped me the other day in a very dangerous situation where I couldn't do magic. I asked for his help and for Chris's help, and they both got me home safely. And um, I think that that's really awesome when you can rely on your friends to perform magic for you when you're in need of it. And Jeremy would be one of those people. Chris, Invoking the Balance, is definitely one of those people. Um, and I'm sure that Mirth and Reverence would be one of those people. And Twisted Witch, I know, would help me if I needed it. But I don't know Mirth and Reverence, on a personal level, so I would never just ask for that kind of information. But anyway, this video is like 30 minutes long almost. Oh my god, I can't believe it. I'm so sorry. But I hope that this was fun for you to watch. A whole 30 minutes of me rambling in front of my computer. Oh my god. So do this tag. I dare you to try to finish it in 15 minutes without being just too precise. Um, yeah. So I look forward to seeing some of your videos. I'm going to make another video here soon, and I will talk to you later. Bye!